Hey TechKnowStuds! In this video, we're going to take a deeper dive into figuring out network ranges, specifically those ranges that come much further down on our list. As you've probably seen already, is that some of these number of networks that you have can get really extensive. And how do you figure out something that's much further down on the list without going through this big manual process of figuring out all of them out? So what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how to jump into the middle of the list and figure out a network range for a specific network that we're looking for. So let's jump into it. This is an exercise that we did from one of our prior videos, and we figured out the network, usable range, and broadcast address for the first 6 here. But what is the, let's say, number 24th network in this range look like? How do we figure out for the 24th without doing all of these different networks through here? So I'm going to show you a process to figure out how to figure out the number 24th subnet without going through all of this. So let's jump into that. The first thing that I'll point out is that these decimal numbers are counting up. So I've got a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5, a 6. I also have binary numbers and they are counting up. A 0, a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. And if you wanted to see this, I could actually label the top part here with 1, 2, 4, 8, and 16 to show you how to calculate any of these. So if I have, they're counting up and they're both counting up, then there's a correlation between these two, except for it's just one off. So my 1 in decimal is a 0 in binary. My 2 in decimal is a 1 in binary. My 3 in decimal is a 2 in binary. So the two are correlated. So if I'm trying to figure out what the 24th network is, all I have to do is first of all figure out the binary number for 23, one less, 23. So is there a 16 in 23? Yes, there is. So 16 minus 24, I could write this over here. So 16 minus 24. So then that would be 7. It should be 23 actually. So 7 left there. So is there an 8 in there? No. Is there a 4? Yes, there is. So I can subtract the 4 out and I end up with 3. So that's a 2 is in there and a 1. So there we have it. There's the binary equivalent for 23. So now I've got that figured out. So what is the network? Well, if I want to figure out what the network address is, the host bits are all 0. So I can just add zeros into here and then figure this out. So what is this number right here? It's a 128 plus 64, excuse me. It's a 128 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8. So if I add up 128 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8, that gets me it's going to be a 1.84.0 is going to be what my network address is. All right, so then how do I figure out the last? My broadcast address. Well, all I do is put 1s all in here. And so if I add 1s in there, I can count this all up and I'll count up a 128 plus 32 plus 16 plus 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 1, and that's .191. Oh, I'll put this in the right spot though. 191.255. Now to figure out the range, the usable host range, it's going to be anywhere from .184.1 through .191.254. So there's my answer. So I figured out for the 24th network in here, I figured out what it was without having to do every single one up to the 24th network. I'm going to give you an opportunity to try this on your own. However, I figured I'd show you one more example before I turned you loose. So for this one right here, we needed a lot of networks for this. And so we drew the line right here. We borrowed, in this case, 10 bits. So this is borrowing 10 bits, and we've got over 1,000 networks that we can handle for this. So it changes the look and feel of this a little differently. So let's say we're trying to solve for the 16th network. What would that look like? So let's go ahead and go through that process. Well, the first thing that I can do is put in my numbers up here. So 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, and 512. So there's that. And then the other thing that I can do is then figure out what the network is for 16. So I have to subtract 1, so that's 15. And a 15 would be a 8 plus a 4 plus a 2 plus a 1. All right, so what is our network address? Well, our hosts all would be 0 for our network address. So my chart is off by 1 there, but we'll get the point here. So 8 plus 4 plus, well, I'll just do this 2 plus 1 to figure out what's on this side of the dot. So that is 3. And then I need to do a 128 plus 64. So that is a 192. All right, so 3.192. Now, what is the broadcast? So the broadcast is going to be all 1s here. And there's a 1 in that column too. Like I said, my chart's a little off here. But so then that is going to be a 3 still, dot 255. All right, there it is. So, and then the usable range is just going to be a 3.193 to 3.254. There's the usable range. So what you can do is go through these and practice each one of these to get good at this. So go ahead and figure out what the network ranges are for each one of these here on the left-hand side. All right, here are the answers. I'm going to give you an opportunity to pause the video again and go ahead and check your answers. Hopefully that went well. I always recommend practicing these if you need a little extra practice, and it just gives you more and more familiar with dealing with these binary numbers and dealing with network addressing.